She heard the growl before she saw it. It was a low, broken sound. Not a threat, but a raw warning of hunger. The wasteland was dead silent. No wind, no movement, just the sound of her own breathing. She instinctively tightened her grip on the small pack at her side. Inside was her last ration. Just one meal. It was enough to get her to the next settlement, but only if nothing went wrong. And something already had. The predator emerged from behind a cluster of rust-colored rocks, dragging one injured leg. Its frame was massive, but wasted away. Bones pressed sharply against worn skin, and its eyes were dull, not fierce. This wasn't a hunter in its prime. This was an animal at the very edge of collapse. She stood frozen. Running was pointless. Fighting would be a fatal mistake. It took a hesitant step forward, then stopped. Another growl escaped, this one weaker than the last. She realized it could smell the food. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she weighed her survival against a sudden, inexplicable instinct. The world she lived in rewarded cruelty and punished mercy at every turn. And yet, she knelt anyway. Slowly, she pulled the ration from her pack and placed it on the dusty ground between them. It was dried meat, dense and packed with energy, her only chance of survival. The predator didn't rush. It watched her every movement, its gaze fixed. She backed away slowly, her hands open, showing she had nothing else to offer. The predator finally lowered its head and began to eat. Fast at first, then slower, as if strength was slowly seeping back into its body. She didn't move. She didn't even dare to breathe deeply. When the food was gone, it looked at her again, not with hunger this time, but with a flicker of awareness. She turned and walked away, expecting the strike to come at any moment. But it never came. That night, the cold settled in hard. She built a tiny fire and wrapped herself in a thin blanket, sleep coming in broken fragments. At some point in the deep dark, she sensed movement, a source of heat nearby. She cracked open her eyes and saw the predator lying a short distance away, facing outward, watching the darkness. At dawn, when she moved, it moved with her, always several steps behind. When she stopped for water, it kept watch. She tried to scare it off with loud noises and thrown stones, but it didn't react. It just followed, maintaining a distance that felt like a choice, not a command. On the second day, scavengers appeared, 3 desperate figures, armed and grinning when they saw her alone. She reached for her small blade, knowing it was useless. But then, the predator rose behind her and let out a roar. Full strength had returned to its voice, a sound that shattered the scavengers' confidence. They fled without a word. She understood then. The ration wasn't a payment. It was a recognition. She had seen the predator as a living thing, not just an obstacle, and it had responded in kind. The days that followed were safer. Smaller threats seemed to vanish before they even reached her. At night, the predator would circle her camp before settling down within sight, a silent guardian. It never took from her pack. It hunted on its own, returning not to be fed, but to stand guard. At the edge of the settlement walls, the predator stopped. It wouldn't go any further. It sat and waited as she approached the gates. People stared, raising their weapons at the beast behind her. She turned back, and for the first time, placed a hand on its head. A brief touch. It leaned into her hand for just a moment, then stepped back. She entered the settlement alone. From the top of the walls, she watched it disappear back into the rocky wilderness. She felt a sense of loss sharper than hunger ever was. Something inside her had changed. The world was still cruel, still dangerous, but it wasn't empty anymore. The lesson was simple. Mercy, given without expectation, can create an alliance stronger than fear. She survived because she chose to see hunger instead of a threat, and the predator became her guardian because she treated it as more than a monster. In a broken world, that one small choice was enough to change both of their fates. Thanks for watching.